The fluorescent lights of the grocery store buzzed overhead like angry wasps as Maya shifted her crying 6-month-old daughter closer to her chest, feeling the weight of every stare burning into her back. Her hands trembled as she fumbled through her worn purse, searching desperately for the crumpled piece of paper that held her carefully calculated grocery list. The difference between her baby having formula this week or going without. When her fingers came up empty, panic shot through her like ice water. The list was gone, and with it, her last thread of control over a life that seemed determined to unravel completely. Maya Rodriguez had been 22 when she thought she'd found her fairy tale. David had swept her off her feet with grand gestures and promises of forever, painting pictures of the life they'd build together. But fairy tales, she learned the hard way, don't prepare you for the moment your Prince Charming walks out the door when he sees 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test, leaving behind only empty promises and a forwarding address that led nowhere. Now, 8 months later, Maya stood in aisle 7 of Peterson's Market with $17.32 to her name, a hungry baby, and no idea how she was going to make it through another week. The job at the diner barely covered rent, and after buying diapers, there was never enough left for both groceries and formula. She'd gotten used to surviving on crackers and whatever leftovers she could sneak from work, but watching Emma's formula supply dwindle to nearly nothing had kept her awake for 3 straight nights. That morning, she'd sat at her kitchen table with a calculator, a pen, and determination born of desperation. Every item on that list had been weighed against Emma's needs. Generic cereal instead of name brand. Store-brand formula instead of the kind the pediatrician recommended. No meat this week, just peanut butter for protein. She'd even calculated the tax down to the penny, knowing she couldn't afford to be short even a dime at the register. The list had been her lifeline, her carefully constructed plan to keep them both fed for another week. Without it, she was lost in a maze of prices she couldn't remember and calculations she couldn't redo without going over budget. Emma's cries grew louder, drawing more disapproving looks from other shoppers. Maya bounced her gently, whispering soothing words she didn't feel. It's okay, baby girl. Mama's going to figure this out. Mama always figures it out. But the truth was, Maya was drowning. She'd been treading water for months, staying afloat through sheer willpower and coffee shop Wi-Fi job applications sent at 2 a.m. The rejection emails had piled up faster than her bills, each one another weight added to her shoulders. Friends from her old life had disappeared when her circumstances changed. Uncomfortable with her new reality, her parents, disappointed by her choices, offered criticism instead of support. She was utterly, completely alone in this fluorescent-lit nightmare. Maya retraced her steps through the store, checking under displays and asking employees if anyone had turned in a piece of paper. Nothing. Emma's cries echoed off the linoleum floors, and Maya felt her own tears threatening to fall. She couldn't break down here, not in public, not when Emma needed her to be strong. As she rounded the corner toward the exit, her foot caught something small and white. Her heart leaped. There it was, her list, trampled and dirty but still readable. She bent to pick it up, shifting Emma to one arm, when disaster struck. Emma, startled by the sudden movement, threw her tiny fist out and knocked Maya's purse from her shoulder. The contents scattered across the floor like confetti receipts, coupons, loose change, and most devastatingly, her carefully counted bills. Maya dropped to her knees, Emma still crying in her arms, frantically gathering her money as other shoppers stepped around her like she was invisible. A $5 bill had slid under a nearby display, and as she reached for it, she felt completely defeated. This was rock bottom. On her hands and knees in a grocery store, her baby crying, strangers staring, her dignity as scattered as her belongings. "Here, let me help you with that." The voice was warm, distinctly masculine, and came from somewhere above her. Maya looked up to see a man in his 50s crouched down beside her, gathering her scattered receipts with gentle efficiency. He was impeccably dressed, not in the flashy way of someone trying to impress, but in the understated elegance of someone who didn't need to. His gray eyes held kindness, and when he smiled at Emma, the baby's cries actually quieted for a moment. "Thank you," Maya managed, her voice thick with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry about this mess." "No need to apologize," he said, handing her the collected papers. "Babies have their own schedule, don't they?" His eyes twinkled as Emma grabbed for his tie. "What's her name?" "Emma," Maya whispered, surprised by the genuine interest in his voice. Most people looked through her these days, especially when she was with the baby. "Hello, Emma." He spoke directly to the infant, his voice taking on that special tone adults reserved for babies. "You're quite the little beauty, aren't you?" For the first time in weeks, Emma stopped crying entirely, staring at this stranger with wide, curious eyes. Maya felt a rush of gratitude so intense it nearly knocked her over. "I'm Robert," the man said, extending his hand to help Maya to her feet. His grip was firm but gentle, steadying her as she found her balance. "And you're having quite a day, I'd guess." Maya laughed, but it came out more like a sob. "That's one way to put it." She looked down at the crumpled list in her hand, smudged now with footprints and grime. "I dropped my grocery list, and without it." She trailed off, realizing how pathetic she must sound. Robert studied her face with an expression she couldn't quite read. "May I ask you something? And please, feel free to tell me it's none of my business." Maya nodded, still too grateful for his help to be wary. "When was the last time you bought groceries for yourself? Not just the baby for you?" The question hit her like a physical blow. She tried to remember the last time she'd purchased something simply because she wanted it, not because it was the cheapest option or because Emma needed it. The answer was so long ago she couldn't recall. "I don't." "That's not really." She stopped, unable to finish the sentence without crying. Robert's expression softened further. "I have a daughter about your age," he said quietly, "and a granddaughter not much older than Emma. I know how hard it can be." Maya felt her defenses crumbling. Something about this man's tone, his genuine concern, made her feel seen in a way she hadn't experienced in months. "It's been really difficult," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Robert nodded slowly, then did something that would change Maya's life forever. He gently took the grocery list from her hands, studying it with the same care she'd used to write it. His eyes moved down a column of items: a generic formula, store-brand crackers, the cheapest pasta available, no fresh fruits or vegetables, no meat. "Maya," he said, having somehow earned her name without her telling him, "would you mind if I made a suggestion?" She shrugged, expecting another piece of well-meaning but useless advice about budgeting or asking family for help. Instead, Robert pulled out his phone and started typing. "I'm going to have my assistant arrange for a grocery delivery to your home. Everything on this list, plus some things I think Emma might need as she grows." Maya's heart stopped. "Oh no, I couldn't possibly." "It's already done," Robert said gently, showing her his phone screen. "Sarah's very efficient. She'll have everything delivered this afternoon." Maya stared at the order confirmation, seeing dollar amounts that made her dizzy. "Sir, this is too much. I can't accept this. I don't even know you." Robert smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both sadness and hope. "5 years ago, I lost someone very important to me. My wife, Catherine. She always said that kindness wasn't about grand gestures, it was about seeing someone who needed help and choosing to be the help they needed." He paused, looking down at Emma, who had fallen asleep in Maya's arms. Catherine would have loved Emma. She always believed that taking care of mothers meant taking care of the future. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "I don't understand. Why would you do this for a stranger?" "Because," Robert said simply, "everyone deserves to know that someone cares whether they're okay. And because Catherine taught me that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, pressing it into Maya's free hand. "If you ever need anything, a job reference, help with childcare while you interview, anything at all, please call me." Maya looked down at the card, her vision blurred with tears. The name read Robert Chen, CEO, Chen Industries. Her breath caught. Chen Industries was one of the largest companies in the state, known for their innovative technology and, according to news reports, their CEO's philanthropic work. "You're?" she started, but Robert held up a gentle hand. "I'm someone who believes that everyone deserves a chance to build the life they want for their children," he said. "And from what I can see, Emma has a mother who would move mountains for her. Sometimes we all just need someone to move a few mountains with us. Maya couldn't speak. The kindness was so unexpected, so overwhelming, that she felt as if her heart might burst. This stranger, this incredibly successful, busy Mana had seen her at her lowest moment and chosen to lift her up instead of looking away. The delivery will include my personal number, Robert continued. There's a position opening up in our customer service department. Good hours, excellent benefits, on-site childcare. If you're interested, call me on Monday. Emma stirred in Maya's arms, making the soft cooing sounds that never failed to make Maya smile. For the first time in months, that smile felt genuine, hopeful. Mr. Chen, Maya managed through her tears. I don't know how to thank you. Robert's eyes crinkled at the corners. Watch Emma grow up happy and healthy. Build the life you both deserve. Pay it forward someday when you can. That's thanks enough. As Maya walked toward the exit, Emma secure in her arms and Robert's business card clutched in her hand, she felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. Not the desperate, grasping hope of someone drowning, but the steady, warm hope of someone who suddenly believed in tomorrow again. 6 months later, Maya would be promoted to team lead in customer service. Having impressed everyone with her dedication and natural empathy, Emma would take her first steps in the company's childcare center. Surrounded by loving caregivers and other children, Maya would move into a small but comfortable apartment, where Emma had her own room decorated with books and toys. But more than that, Maya would remember Robert's words about paying it forward. She'd start volunteering at a local food bank, helping other young mothers navigate their challenges. She'd keep granola bars in her purse to give to homeless individuals. Understanding now what it meant to be truly hungry, she'd become the kind of person who stopped to help when she saw someone's groceries scattered on the ground. That day in the store, when Maya thought she'd hit rock bottom, had actually been the day her real life began. It was the day she learned that sometimes angels wear business suits and carry smartphones, and that the smallest acts of human kindness can indeed change everything. Emma would grow up hearing the story of the kind man who helped her mama when they needed it most, learning that the world could be harsh but was also full of people willing to help. She'd inherit her mother's strength and Robert's belief in the power of compassion, carrying both forward into a future bright with possibility. And on quiet evenings, when Maya tucked Emma into bed in their cozy apartment, she'd whisper the same words Robert had spoken that day. Everyone deserves to know that someone cares whether they're okay. It had become her truth, her guiding principle, proof that kindness received and kindness given were two halves of the same beautiful whole.